We're on page 1, and that is right inside the front cover. So how we do this is page 1, this is page 2, 3, 4, and so on. It's like we're reading a book. That way, if you need to come back to the page, if you have to take a break or whatever you need to do, you can identify what page you're on. So let's cut for page 1, and we'll also get ready for page 2. In your paper pack, you will have this piece. On the back, it looks like this. First thing we're going to do is, because there's certain parts of this that we're going to need for both pages, is we're going to cut this down so that we can retain some of the pieces that we will need for this tutorial. So looking at your paper like this, measure over 2.5 inches and cut. After making that cut, let's put this in our reserves. Once you put that other piece in your reserves, let's turn our piece, measure over 6 inches, and cut. This is going to be for our page 1. Let's cut it down, measure over 8 inches, and cut. This little piece left over, we're going to put in our reserves. So here's our page 1. This one we're going to cut for our page 2 and set off to the side. What we're going to do is just turn this upside down, measure over 8 inches, and cut. This small piece is going to go in our reserves. Let's just put this off to the side. Don't put it in your reserves, but we'll just set this off to the side so it does not get cut into. That's our page 2. And this is what we're going to work with for our page 1. Let's go over our page 1 pre-cuts. I got my scoring board out because I'm going to show you with this. Our first pre-cut was a 4-inch by 8.5 inch, and we called that our pocket. We laid this down so we were 8.5 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 inch, and we scored at 8 inch. We turned this so that we were 4 inches across, and we scored at a 1/2 inch. We had another piece here. It was a 5.5 by 6.5, and we called that our folder. We laid this 6.5 inches across our board, and at 3.25 inches, we scored. All right, let's begin with our pocket. And we're going to need our scissors for that. Along the bottom here, you will see in the corner from our scoring, it creates a little square. We're going to cut up on that score line, and then we will cut across to get rid of the square. Next, all we have to do is fold on those score lines. Let's grab our glue, and all we're going to do is we're looking at the back with our sides fold in. Here's the bottom, we'll pull it down. Over here, we're going to put a little glue, and we're only going to put it over as far as what this comes down to, if you were to use that as your guide. And I got a bit much over there. Now we'll just fold in our sides and pull that up. Let's grab our 3/8 inch score tape, and we are going to lay it right here. We'll go all the way down, and we'll cut off anything that overhangs. Just make sure you don't cut the bottom of your pocket if you have some overhang there. And then we'll burnish that. All right, let's grab our piece. What we're going to do is remove that score tape backing. And you can watch me first. But we're going to place this pocket here. When you place the pocket, you're going to come up 1/8 inch from the bottom, and you'll try to center that side to side as evenly as you can. And then we'll burnish. Perfect. Let's get our paper for this. In your reserves, you will have this piece. And on the back, it looks like that. It is approximately, let's see what we're sitting at. We are 4 inches by 7.5 inches. So all we're going to do is I'm going to show you a technique, and we're going to look at it like this. Place your paper down. We'll flip it over to the other side, but we're going to measure to fit. So side by side, you'll see it's a good fit, but we're going to move that in and down to leave a little bit of a lip there. And we're going to move it over so we have just a little bit of black showing. We're going to take our pencil and just trim off about 1/16 of an inch on this side. So let's do that really quick. I wanted to have a little black frame going around, which that will do, just a sliver of black. So once you have that and you place it down, you still have a black lip up here. Now what we can do is just kind of shift it over so we can see the bottom of our pocket. And we will just make a pencil mark down there where our bottom of our pocket is. Now we can trim off this piece. I'm going to do that really quick. And this piece here, I think we might even use that. I'm not sure yet. But now what you can do is just flip that over and place that down all the way until you have that black lip up there, black side to side, and you'll be able to see a sliver of black down here if you maneuver it. So let's go ahead and glue that down. So there is our little pocket. I wanted to see this, and I think that would look pretty good there. Yep, I like our pocket, and this is the perfect size right up there. I do need to erase my pencil mark, but let's apply glue to this piece. And I'm going to place it so I have a little bit of black up there. Alright, so your string. I'm going to grab some of my string. Now my string is super thin, so I'm going to be doubling mine up. Cut that so I have 2 pieces there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack it down here, and I'm going to tack it over here. And I'm going to leave it so that there's a little bit of a hang, not much. So I will show you. All right, let's set that off to the side. We have a 5.5 by 6.5 inch folder. I'm going to erase my writing now, and I'm going to fold. Now the folder is going to hang right down like that, so it'll look pretty good. So the opening I'm going to have on this side. In your reserves you will find this piece. It is about 2 7/8 inch wide by 7 inch long. It looks like that on the back. So this is going to place down, and it's going to give us a nice black frame on there. So I'm just going to measure to fit here. And we will cut off the excess. So place it down so that you have an even amount of black here, here, and here. And just come over to the side, make your pencil mark, and now we will cut. And I'm going to cut this really quick. and I'm going to glue that down. And I'm going to erase any pencil marks here, clean up any glue. Okay, I'm going to place it so my opening is at the bottom. What I'd like you to do is to place this on your paper cutter. And let's get the top. Here we go. That's the top one, and then this one. Place this on, and right underneath here, I want us to trim. And I'll show you mine here. Just like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut out and around each one of these postage stamps. Any leftover trim pieces, please put them in your reserves. They can come in handy when needed. This is not on your pre-cutting, but what I would like you to do is look in your reserves in your scrap black cardstock. Cut 2 pieces that are 2 1/16 by 2 5/8 inch. All we're going to do with these is we're going to apply glue, and we are going to center that. That will give us a nice little black frame around these. And we will glue these together. Okay, with the opening at the bottom, what we're going to do is apply glue to these, and we are just going to center them right on in there like this. That looks good. Let's open that up and find some paper. In your reserves, you will find these 2 squares. On the back, it looks like this. And these are about, I think, 5 by 5 inch pieces. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to double these up. One I'm going to have looking at it like this. The other one I'm going to stick upside down. And I'm going to measure over 2 3/4 inch and cut. This is what you should have. You should have 2 pieces that are 2 3/4 by 5 inches. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to apply my glue, and I'm going to center it in there, and that will give me a nice black border around those panels. And then I'll burnish it down. I have mine down. Let's take a look at what we have here. And the back I'll leave alone, but we just slide that right over that. And it will hang down like this, and I think that'll look good. Let's flip this over. Let's grab our 1/4 inch score tape. We're going to place it around the back side all the way around like a picture frame. All right, there's my folder. Once you have that, let's go 1 down the middle, and we will go 2 on each side. Because we're going to have picture mats eventually, we'll be able to do our picture mats after the tutorial to the sizes that we like. We don't do picture mats together because everyone has their own taste and size and how they like to create them. Okay, I'm taking the score tape off because I am going to show you, and I'm going to grab my book, so you may want to watch first. Now usually I do the page 1 after I do page 2, but let's do this together. We have that inner cardstock cover that we put in there, so you can kind of see top and bottom there. Just want to make sure that you get it to where it's even there. And I'm going to place that. Usually I teach where we lay page 1 after we do our page 2, but I think it'll be okay. So we're going to burnish that down. Now, as far as the string, what we can do and we can do it right now, is we can actually lay some string to come down this way. It shouldn't interfere with your pocket for the most part. You may have on the side and stuff where it's going to come over. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. And for me, I am going to measure up what I'm going to need. And I can clip off any excess there. And I'm just going to bring this around. And I'm just going to go top and bottom. I'm going to be overlaying on top of this. So I'm going to snip off one side. And I'm going to place some glue right here. And you may want to use your fabric glue. And I will stick that. And then I'm going to bring it all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to measure up what I need. So about here. And I'm going to tack that down right on top, and that will cover that up. And I can snip off any excess. I am going to make a bow really quick, and I'm going to double up my string to do that. Make a small little bow. And I think I will place that right up here. And I'll trim off some of these a little bit more. Put it right here, right at the top. So our page 1 is complete, and I think that looks great. Let's move on to page 2. We're on page 2, and we set this piece off to the side for our page 2, and we had some pre-cuts. So let's go over those. The first one for page 2, we had a 5 by 7 3/8 inch, and we called it a left fold out. And it doesn't matter if your scoring board starts this side or this side. Mine starts on this side. I know a lot of people start over here, so I'm just going to place this down. We placed this on our scoring board so that we were 7 3/8 inch across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. And we called it a left fold out. Let's go ahead and fold on those score lines really quick, and then we'll set this off to the side. The next piece that we had was a 2 7/8 by 5 inch, and we called it a right fold out. We laid this on our scoring board so we were 2 7/8 inch across. We scored it at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. And we're going to fold on those. And this is just a small little fold out because it's going to be our flap. The next piece is for page 2. We had a 3.5 by 7.5 inch. We called it an inside fold out pocket. We laid this on our scoring board so we were 7.5 inches across. We scored this at a 1/2 inch and 7 inches. Then we turned it so we were 3.5 inches across, and we scored it at a 1/2 inch. Inside fold out pocket. We'll tackle this with the folding when we get there. The next piece is we had a 4.5 by 4.5 inch piece. We called it a top side WF. WF just means waterfall. We laid this on our scoring board. We were 4.5 inches across, and we scored it at a 1/2 inch. Next piece, we had a 4.5 by 5.25 inch. We called it a middle side WF. We placed this on our scoring board. We were 5.25 inches across, and we scored it at a 1/2 inch. We'll fold that up in just a bit. Our last piece was a 4.5 by 6 inch piece. We called it a bottom side WF. We laid this so we were 6 inches across, and we scored that one at a 1/2 inch. right, let's begin. Let's grab our base sheet. And I think what I want to do on this is attach our little WFs. The first one that we are going to want is the smallest one, and it is 4.5 by 4.5. Let's fold on that score line there. Our hinge is going to be off to the left-hand side on that, and we're just going to get these all ready to go. Here is our flap, and we're going to grab our 3/8 inch score tape, and we're going to place that right in on that flap. If you get any score tape that hangs over, which I do, you'll definitely want to clip that because it will show. So there's our first one. We're going to do the same thing with the middle side WF and the bottom side WF. So we're just going to fold, apply our score tape, and you are applying your score tape, the peak would be up. That's the easiest way to tell you to do it. We'll just get these all ready to go. And then we have this one. Okay, so the first one that's going to be placed is the 4.5 by 4.5. And I'm going to be showing you first so that you can see how it's done. You will need your pencil and you will need your ruler. Grab your ruler and place it down. If you're using mine, make sure you line up the 0 line with the edge of your paper. Make a pencil mark at the 1/8 inch mark there. That's just your placement, and we have the 4.5 by 4.5. What's going to happen is I'm going to take off the score tape, I'm going to fold it back so the sticky is underneath, and I'm going to place this center and I'm going to lay it right on that line. And try to stay even top and bottom. So let's get this down. Fold it back. I have my 1/8 inch. Try to stay even top and bottom. And place it. You can open that up and burnish. The next one that we want is our middle, and we're done with the ruler and pencil right now, the middle side WF. And what we're going to do is remove the score tape backing. We'll fold it back. You can open that up. And we're going to line it right where the edge of that is and try to stay even. Okay, so when you fold it back over, they should stay even. So we're using that as a guide there. Let's get our bottom side one, and we're going to do the same thing. If you get yours a little crooked, it's not the end of the world. By the time you get your photographs in there, don't think it's going to matter. I don't think they're really going to notice that. Alright, so we have all 3 of them in a line right there. Trim. I will be adding some trim to the edge here. And those of you that have the frame a card leafy borders, I will show you what I will be using. In your leafy border packet, you'll grab the smallest one. And you might want to cut a piece that is 2 inches by 4.5 inches. And what I did on each one of these is when I laid down my piece, my die on it, I left about 1/8 of an inch or so gap, and I think you can see that. And I centered it side to side. So if you need to pause the video to get yours ready to go, and then resume, because I'm going to tell you how we're going to cut this so it looks nice for those of you that are doing the die cuts. Once you have your piece, these are 4.5 inches, but what you'll want to do is when you place it, you will move it until the bottom of this is even with the back Okay, it's even with your cardstock. So I'm going to maneuver this, and you are even top and bottom. Once you have that, I want you to flip this over. Okay, so you can use one as your template for cutting the rest. See over here where the tip of your back cardstock is? You'll make a pencil mark, and you may want to use a ruler, but we're just going to draw a line because that's how we're going to cut this, and try to make them even, of course. Try. Once you have that, then you can cut. All right, so for me, once I have that, I can kind of do these side to side. And now I can just cut these the same. All right. We'll be getting our paper in just a moment. Us die cutters, let's get these glued down. And sometimes it's easier if you have some sort of scratch cardstock. I'm going to use this blue piece here. And we will apply glue. Whoops. And again, I'm going to match up to make sure they are straight. In your reserves, you will find two pieces. They are 2 1/4 by 5 inch, and they will look like this. We're going to put these two together. We're going to turn it, and we're going to measure over 4 3/8 inch and cut. So I'm going to do that really quick. So to make sure that they match. Okay, let's get our glue. The first one is this one that I am going to glue down. And you'll want to make sure you get those edges pretty good. We're just going to place this one down, and you'll want to leave about a 1/16 inch of black over here. And just kind of make sure that they are even top and bottom. And I got a little more than a 1/16 over there, but that's okay. The next is this one. We're going to apply glue, and we are going to glue that down, leaving a black border over there, and we're just going to come right on over the top. So in the tutorials that I teach, you'll find that I use a lot of the scraps so that our paper goes a lot longer for us. And I think it's a good way to use up, especially when it doesn't look so bad when you piece them together. And I wanted to make sure you could see that love. Let's flip that open, and we're going to find our paper for this. In your paper pack, you will find this print. On the back, it is this. Let's turn our page so that the lanterns are sideways. Measure over 4 3/8 inch and cut. We have 2 cuts to make on this. Our first is we're going to measure over 3 7/8 inch and cut. Then we're going to measure over 4 1/2 inches and cut. So these are the 2 pieces. The other little piece goes in our reserves. We're going to apply glue to this, and we are going to center that right on in there, and that should give you a little black border here and a black border over here, but don't get on your scoring line. This one, we're going to apply glue, and we're going to have this black seam in between because that's our little hinging thing there. And we'll just come over, make sure we have a black border here, and you'll have one over here. And we'll glue those down. I have mine down. Let's flip to our next pages. In your paper pack, you will find this print. On the back, it is black. We're going to turn our paper so that the lines are going this way. Measure over 4 3/8 inch and cut. Again, we have 2 cuts to make. We're going to measure over 4.5 inches and cut. Then we're going to measure over 5.25 inches and cut. Put your small piece in reserve. So the larger one goes on this side. We're going to apply glue, and we're going to use the black side here. And we are going to glue that down, and we will glue this one down. I have mine down. We need to get for here. Grab this back out of your reserves, measure over 5.25 inches and cut. Next, we're going to turn this, measure over 4 3/8 inch and cut. Let's apply glue to the black so that we can get a little color, and we will glue that down. Or if you like the black, you can do it that way. I'm going to have, so I have some color here. Let's get something for these 1/2 inch strips. Remember when we were cutting for our cover, we should have some leftovers. And we want this side, so I'm going to look at it like this because I may use this later. So all we're going to do on this is we're going to measure over a 1/2 inch cut, measure over 1/2 inch and cut, measure over one more time a 1/2 inch and cut. So you should have 3 1/2 inch cuts. So we have these strips. On each one of these, what we're going to do is we're going to measure over 4 3/8 inch and cut. We're going to cover up those black little things, so we'll apply glue. We will glue this one down. Do not get on your score line, and you will make sure that they line up with the paper over here. Same thing here, and same thing here. Now if you'd rather flip it over and use the other side, you can. So let's get those down. I have mine all down. The next thing that we want to do is grab our left FO. FO is fold out, and our hinge is going to be off to the left. So if you have scoring over here, just flip it over. You have 2 score lines. On the outside score line, I want you to pinch and tuck that back behind. What we're going to do is slide it back behind our piece. And the idea of this is to cover up our little waterfall, side waterfall. So once you have it and it's even top and bottom, I want you to pinch it, and I want you to pinch it over here to hold it. If you feel it slide, realign. But I'm going to keep my hand down here, and I'm going to open that up. This is an easy way to get on some of these fold outs, and I'm not left-handed, so I got to be careful. And we're going to apply glue to that hinge, and we're going to press it over. Now let's burnish that, make sure it stays down. Once you do that, then you can flip it over and push back on that other score line and fill. It should be flat. Open it up, make sure you don't have any glue in there. Alright, we're going to wait on this one because there are some options for those of you that don't have this die. So we'll just hold this open and work on in here. Grab this back out of your reserves. Looking at it with the lines like this, measure over 6.5 inches and cut. So this is what you should have. We'll turn it this way. Measure over 4 3/4 inch and cut. We're going to apply glue. We'll center it in there, right inside that fold out. And you should have a black border here, top, bottom. And on that outside score line, in between that and your decorative paper, you should have one as well. And we're just using glue for this. And definitely clean up any glue that seeps out. Okay, let's close that. Let's start with the die cutters or people that are paper punching. What I did was, on my black cardstock, this is 2 inches by 5 inches. If you were using the same borders, you're going to use not the smallest, but this next size. And what you will do is place your bracket evenly, so you have the same amount here. You'll leave yourself a border up here, and you'll have a border down here. Now, what you're going to want to do is just kind of cut at an angle. Try to keep those trim over here the same. Our hinge is going to be off to the right. So all I'm going to do is place this first. If you're doing paper punching, then punch a 2 by 5 inch. And we will place that down. Okay, so we have that down. We have our trim down. An option for those of you that have the edge here, what you can do is clip at an angle, but I don't want you to do it yet until we get our decorative paper. And I'll explain why in just a moment. Alright, so for this, you have an outside score line and an inside. On the outside one, you're going to pinch and crease it. And you're going to slide that right back behind, and you will line up top and bottom with this one. So once you have it where it needs to be, you can kind of fold it over, make sure it doesn't slip on you, and we'll apply. We're going to need a magnet for this page for sure. Keep these flaps done. Now, if you don't have magnets, you know, it used to be I didn't use magnets all the time. So you can just have it, and of course when you turn your pages it's going to flop, but it's still okay. Okay, let's find our paper for this piece. In your reserves you will find this piece. On the back it's the fans. It is about 2 7/8 inch wide and about 7 inches tall. First thing that we're going to do is just measure over 2 inches and cut. Turn your piece, looking at it sideways, measure over 4 3/4 inch and cut. We'll apply glue, and when we place this on this, we're going to center it, top, bottom, side to side, and then we'll burnish it down. Those of you that want an angle, before you don't glue this down yet, what you will do is clip off your corner at an angle, a little angle here, and then with this piece, once you clip that piece off, you can turn it over so that you have a pattern to get the same cut. And then you will place it down on your piece, and what you will find is that you will have black showing. So now what you can do, once you get that down, you can just cut at an angle, leaving a little bit of a black border, so that you can get, instead of square or a rectangle, you'll have a little edge there. Okay, let's open this up. Let's grab a couple magnets. I'm going to grab one of my magnets, and I'll take off the adhesive, and you'll want a plus and a minus. So now right over here, when I place this and come over to this side, it's going to do its thing when we put the mate on. So what we're going to do is take one of ours, and I'm going to leave probably about an 1/8 inch in, just get that somewhere in the middle, and place it. This one, the mate, place it right on top. Now if you end up going over your page, we will fix that, but we should be okay. So give yourself a little bend here. Give yourself a little bend here. Now when you pull this over, you're going to let it fall naturally. If you are crooked, this is where you can kind of guide it. So, and we will press. And carefully lift up. And it should still be on your page. But in case it's not, you can stick one of your stickers over it from your sticker sheet at the end of the tutorial. So now that we have that done, let's find our paper for this side. Now I have not forgotten about our inside pocket. We will get to that in just a moment. Let's get this taken care of. In your reserves, you will have this print. It is 12 inches long. And the width is pretty narrow. We do have another piece to place, but it's about 4.5 inches. So looking at your paper like this, measure over 6.5 inches and cut. Now before you apply glue, I want to show you what's going to happen, because there's another piece to the puzzle here. In your reserves, you will find this strip. It is about 1 1/8 by 6 3/4 long, and we'll get to that in a moment, but if you can locate that, that would be great. What's going to happen is when we apply glue, we're going to bring that up to the top, leaving just about a 1/16 of an inch of black showing. So what's going to happen is when we take this, we're going to measure over 6.5 inches, and we're going to cut this so it's the same. And then this will lay down over it, but we're going to create a little tuck first, and we will have about a 1/16 of an inch down here. So first things first, I just like to tell people first sometimes. I don't know if it's helpful or not. And we'll cover that magnet. We'll have our black border over here. I'm going to burnish that down really good. Clean up any glue. This is our tuck piece, and now that we are 6.5 inches, we can get glue on. So we're going to apply glue, a line over here, a line over here, and across the bottom. And we'll place that. And a tuck is like a little pocket, but it's not meant to carry a lot of, for me, this tuck, when it's not backed with black cardstock, you don't place a bunch of photographs, picture mats in there. You can put a tag and a photo mat, maybe 2, and it'll be fine. So there's our tuck. Let's finish with this, and I had a great idea for this one. In your reserves, you will find this. On the back, it is this. So what I want you to do is, you see over here where there's a bunch of stamps, right here on the side where the cream and the black meet, you're going to cut all the way down. And I'm going to show you mine. So it looks like this. So all I'm going to do, and I'm just going to use my scissors, is I'm going to cut these apart, 3 of them. And then I can clean up the other sides. So there's 1, 2, and here's the 3rd one. Now all I'm going to do is cut off the black border around each one of these. This is not on your pre-cutting. Now I realize we could have used the black border of the paper. However, I wanted something darker that matches my cardstock, and it'll really make these things pop. So what you're going to want to do is cut 3 small pieces. They are going to be 1.5 by 1 1/8. After you do that, you can glue these down centered, and it will frame it nicely. So we'll do that, glue all these pieces down, and then we're going to place these. place your pieces as I have on the front panel, and you'll space just a little bit of a space in between. We'll glue these down. And I'll allow my glue to dry. So that's what it should look like. And I think that looks really good. In your reserves, you will have this piece. It is about 3 1/4 inches by 5 1/4. Let's measure over 2 inches and cut. Let's turn that. We'll measure over 4 3/4 inch and cut. We're going to apply glue to this side, and we're going to center that in the panel and glue that down and burnish really well. I got mine down there. Let's open it up, and we're going to grab our pre-cut that was 3 1/2 by 7 1/2. And we're going to cut out those corners like we've done before. Let's fold on those score lines. And we're going to do the same thing we did before with this, is grabbing some glue first and getting these little corners glued up. So I'm looking at my flaps are on the sides, they're pulled in, and we pull up. Let's grab our 3/8 inch score tape, if I can find mine. Got it. Okay, here are our little flaps. Let's place our score tape, and we'll clip off any overhang. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the score tape backing, and here is our inside fold out. We're going to place this all the way over, and it should cover. You're going to have I shouldn't say all the way over, you're going to have some black cardstock, but this should fit directly over your decorative paper. So I'm going to place mine. Let's find our decorative paper for that. In your reserves, you will have this piece. On the back, it is that. Measure over 6 3/8 inch and cut. What we're going to do is turn it sideways. Lanterns are going this way. Measure over 2 7/8 inch and cut. If you are wanting to add trim, you can cut a piece of your black cardstock in your scraps that is 6 3/8 inch wide. You'll want to use the bracket, and you can measure up your brackets, but I believe that this one is, I want to say it's this one. I can't remember. I had pre-cut some of these just to look. So before we glue this down, we're going to snip our sides. We'll glue down our piece, bring it up so that we are centered side to side on our thing, and then we can glue this right on over. So die cutters, go ahead and do that. Everybody else, just glue down your trim or your decorative paper. In your reserves, you will find this postage stamp. I gotta clean my scissors. It's getting really bad. And I'm just gonna cut out the top one. I'll put this back in reserves. And I'm gonna cut out and around this. And then what we're gonna do is mount this to our black cardstock. And all I'm gonna do is reach into my reserves for a scratch piece, apply glue, and place that down, leaving yourself a little black border here. You'll glue it down, and then you can cut out and around it to frame it. I have mine done. Sometimes it's just easier to grab your scratch paper like I did, glue it down, and cut out and around. So I'm going to create a little tuck here so we can put tags. So on the back side of this, we're just going to go down the bottom, and one side. So under here is where the glue is, and I'm going to stick this at an angle. And you can still tuck tags and things back behind here, which is nice. So let's take a look at all this that we have going on. I think that's lovely. That looks good. I'm looking at right now my sticker sheet to see if I want to add anything. And see this joy? Now this is optional, you don't have to, but I am going to stick this right on where we covered our hinge, right there. Now mostly I like to back stickers to black cardstock, so if you'd like to do that first, you can. I just got a little off track here. Normally I would have and then glued it down. So I think that looks really good. Page 2 is complete. Let's flip that over. Let's grab our 1/4 inch score tape. Score tape goes around the outside edges like a picture frame. We're going to go one down the middle and one on either side of that middle point. And we'll mount this in our book together. Here is our book. Oh, and I think this just came out lovely how these two go together. Now one thing about these pages is they're black and it's very hard to see where your edges are. So I'm going to grab a scratch piece of paper and get it right behind page 2 so I can see where my edges are. I'm going to remove the score tape. Now very important, here is your hinge for your page. You want to steer clear of that. In fact, you're going to want to bring it in about, I would say, 3/16 to 1/8 inch away from that hinge. And that will still give you a nice black border, top, bottom, and sides. So I'll do that really quick. Make sure you burnish down all your score tape in the back here. And I'm going to get this up. And remember, this is where the flap goes, is off to the right. So, and I'm going to try and stay even with my other page as best I can. And I'm going to place this. Whoa, got a little crazy there. There. Now once you have it down, we're not quite done yet. You want to open that up and definitely burnish down. Get all the score tape, the air out from underneath. There is our piece. Let's add something here. Now you don't have to, but on your chipboard sheet you will find this chipboard little button. If you would like to place it right hanging off the edge there, you can. I think that adds a little something. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be adding my string now. So what I'm going to do is get a bunch off here. I'm just going to clip some here. And I'll show you what I'm going to do. You do not have to do this. Alright, so I'm going to open this up, and where I'm going to put some string is right over here. And I'm going to leave enough here to tie off. But I'm going to go right about here. I'm going to wrap my string around a few times here. Now watch over here what you're doing so you don't totally destroy your pocket, but you should be able to come over and still be able to get stuff in there a good size. So I'm going to slide mine down right about there so it isn't going to interfere. And I'll just bring this up. I think I'll tie a little knot first, just to add a little something here. Okay, so we have finished up on page 2. I think it looks great. We are now on to page 3. We're on page 3. Let's go over our pre-cuts. We had a 1.5 inch by 9 inch piece, and we called it a pocket. We laid this on our scoring board, so we were 9 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 8.5 inches. We turned it and we scored it at a 1/2 inch. We then had a 4.25 by 6.75 fold out. And what we did was we laid this on our scoring board. We were 6.75 across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. All right, let's find our decorative paper that we will be using. In your paper pack, you will find this print. On the back, it looks like this. The first thing that we're going to do, sorry about that, is we're going to measure over 8 inches and cut. So this is what you should have. We're 8 inches across by 12. We're going to turn that, measure over 6 inches, and cut that right in the middle. This piece we will work with for our page 3. We're going to set this off to the side for our page 4. All right, let's begin. First thing that we want to do is to grab our 1.5 by 9 inch pocket. And we're going to clip out those side little squares like we have previously on pockets. And we're just going to fold that bottom and the sides in. We'll grab our glue. Oh, my dogs are going crazy. We'll put a little glue here. We'll put a little glue here. Pull in those sides, and this comes up. Let's grab our 3/8 inch score tape. This is a fairly quick page. So is our next one. So we'll start picking up the pace just a little bit as we go, now that you are used to the way I measure, how we cut pockets, and so forth. Let's grab our base page. Now this is just a small little pocket that's going to come down. We're going to remove the score tape and we're going to place this right along the bottom there. And this will go all the way to the bottom of our page. Hello, little guy, come on. And we'll place this. If you are die cutting trim, I am going to be in the leafy borders. I'm die cutting the largest one, and what I did was I left a little lip here, and this piece here is as wide as my pocket, and all I'm going to do is place this down so I can kind of see where it's even, so I can see here's the side, and I'll just cut at an angle there. And whatever I do on that side, I can flip this over to get a same cut. Hopefully. At least that's the idea of it. Okay, apply glue and glue that down onto your pocket. Pull this back out of your reserves. It's 12 inches long and 4 inches wide. We're going to measure over 7/8 of an inch and cut a long strip. So this is what I have, and all I'm going to do here is lay this down. I want some of that red from the bird, and I'm going to measure to fit here, and I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to glue that down right here. So let's do that. Grab your 4 1/4 by 6 3/4 FO, which is a fold out, and we're going to fold on those score lines. Our flap is going to be off to the left on that outside score line. Let's pinch, and we're going to tuck that back behind. And I'm going to bring it to about right here. I'm going to pinch and hold it so it does not get away from me. And now I'm going to glue down this, and I'll burnish too. And now I will fold back on that other score line and kind of push until I feel that it's flat. Next thing we want to do is find our paper for the outside and the inside. In your paper pack you will find this print, and on the back it looks like this. We're going to turn it so the red band is over here. Measure over 4 inches and cut. We're going to do 2 cuts here. We're going to measure over 5 7/8 inch and cut. We'll measure over again 5 7/8 inch and cut. All we're going to do with these is we're going to apply glue and glue one down, centering it to give it a black frame around it. And we're going to take this one and glue it down to the inside. And be mindful of that score line. So let's do that. On your chipboard pieces you will find this one. And what you'll want to do is just poke out that little piece there. And we're going to need a brad, and this may be to where it goes through, and it is, but that's okay. What I'm going to have you do is grab a piece of your scrap cardstock, and I'm just making a piece that will fit back behind there. And that way we can punch through, and we can still use this, and the brad won't go all the way through. So I'm just kind of gluing that to the back there. And I'm just going to take my little thing here and poke a little hole in the middle of that and clean up any glue, of course. Okay, you're going to need one of your brads, and we're just going to place it right through that little hole we made in the cardstock. So now it won't go all the way through. Alright, so all we're going to do is, now we have this like this, and all we're going to do here is kind of measure how far over we need this little tip to catch. So I'm about right here, and so I'm going to stick my pencil underneath till I can feel those little brads. Make a pencil mark, and that is where I need to punch through. And I'm just going to use my little craft knife here. If you get your hole off, you can maneuver your piece over to still cover that, hopefully. And we're going to just put that right through. And then on the back, we'll fold these down. So you don't want it super tight, but you don't want it super loose. So you're going to have to play around with this a little bit. And I'm going to grab my pencil tip, make sure that's down, and then make sure that these are tight behind. So this should help with keeping this down, especially when you start getting your picture mats in there. In your paper pack you will find the cut-aparts. And what we're going to do is cut out and around this one. If you'd rather put this on your paper cutter, do so, but I am just going to cut around this. Trying not to disturb the other pieces. And I'm going to place this back in my reserves. I'm going to cut out and around the corners. If you have a corner punch, that's great. Make sure you take off this black strip. And then we're going to fish into our reserves and grab some black cardstock. Alrighty, black cardstock. And you're going to want a piece of black cardstock that is big enough to go around the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply glue to this. And that might work going this way. And you want to make sure that you leave about a 1/16 of an inch of black border around this piece. And we will cut. We're going to open this up and we're going to set this off at an angle, but make sure that this does not go into your score lines, your hinging over there. And all I'm going to do is just apply a little glue so I can still tuck something back behind her and put it off at an angle. Alright, for now let's take this over, pull it over, and we're going to put score tape around the back side like a picture frame. We're going to go one down the middle and one on either side. Now locate your little prongs there, and you're going to put a piece of score tape over that too. So let's get this ready to go. Now I want to try something, so you may want to wait here until I am done to see if it's something I want to do, but I had an idea. I'm going to go onto the sticker sheet and grab this harmony piece. And what we're going to do is cut out and around, leaving a little bit of a black border. And I will show you mine in just a moment, as soon as I get this all cut out. So we're going to go ahead and do this. What I want to do here is I'm going to be sticking this up off this page, so there's still room to get a photo down here. So I'm only going to be putting a little bit of glue on this, just right down here. And I'm going to place this right in the center of the top of this fold out. And I'm going to come off the page just a little bit. Not much. I would say that I am hanging over. I'm hanging over about 1/8 of an inch on the top there. On your sticker sheet you will find this. It's at the bottom. If it's still attached to the blue one, mine was kind of stuck to it, just remove it. And I'm going to center this side by side right on the bottom of my fold out. So I'm just going to kind of look what I need to do. Definitely be burnishing that down. I am going to be adding some of my leaves. So all I'm going to do is kind of put this over so it does not interfere with when I open this. But it's going to be glued down just like this, and I'll have some draped down over the bottom. But I'm going to glue that down. And then a picture can come over the top. I cut a couple of the Tim Holtz little flowers off, and I did leave somewhat of a stem so that the stamen doesn't come out, but what I've done is I've just pushed it back behind one of the flower petals, and I have 2 here. This is where I'm going to be using hot glue for that quick tack. And I'm going to stick one here, and I'm going to get this other one down. Stick it right here. This page is complete for me, and feel free to add more stuff if you'd like. I'm going to remove the score tape backing, and we will place this in our book. Although you've already placed a couple with me, I think we'll do it one more time, and then I think you guys will have the hang of this. And where is my book? So we we have 1, 2, and again, remember we're going to stay away about 3/16 to 1/8. Whoops, I caught. That can't happen. Just come right on over here and place it. I'm going to move that out of the way and burnish. Put that back, swing that over, and there is our page 3. We are now on to page 4. Page 4, we had 1 pre-cut, and there is no scoring on this side pocket. It was a 2 1/8 by 7-inch piece. Here is our page 4. We had set this off to the side, and I'm going to show you how I mount this type of pocket. I'm going to use my 1/4 inch, and it's going to come on this side here. Definitely burnish that. So I'm going to show you really quick. I'm going to turn this the wrong way. It's going to be easier so I don't get my head in the video. If you notice, this piece, if you were to lay it down, has overhang. Those overhang wrap to the back of this paper. So I like to give a little bend. Not too much, just a little bit. And I'm going to bring this over, making sure I have those overhang. And I like to press in the center and then press out with my fingers. And then I burnish. Next, what we do is we just flip it over, and we're going to wrap that to the back side. And we'll do that over here. And we'll apply glue. Die cutters. If you're using this or some other style of die for trim, what you'll do is cut a 6-inch long piece here. And then you'll die cut. And what I did was I used this one, the second largest. And we're going to do what we normally do. I didn't chop down this part. I'm just going to leave it. It isn't going to hurt nothing. And line this up. Now you can cut, and I probably should have. It looks a lot better on this. No harm done. Just do it now. You can still get in there. There we go. Let's get our paper for this. In your reserves, you will find this piece. We used it on the previous page for that long strip. We're going to do that again. However, let's cut this down first. And I like the bird. So with the bird over here, if you can, measure over 6 inches and cut. So this is what you have. I have the bird smack in the middle here. I'm going to place my ruler. What we want is a 2-inch wide strip. So for me, I'm going to place this right here where it meets, and I'm going to measure to fit. I'm going to place a pencil mark right to the left of his head, and at the 2-inch mark, I'm going to place a pencil mark. I'm going to stick this on my paper cutter and cut here and here so I get that bird. So this is what mine looks like. I'm now going to apply glue. And I am going to glue that down, leaving that black little border up there. On your sticker sheet, locate these 2 pieces. And we're going to place them down to black cardstock, leaving just a little bit of a black border. We'll cut out and around, leaving that black border. And I need to find another scratch piece that is small. And we will do the same with this one. So let's do that really quick. What I would like you to do, I have mine all cut out and on black cardstock. We're going to overlap the black behind the other. So the other peeks out like that. I'll just put a little glue up here. And what you can do is once you've done that, you can kind of place this down. Love is going to be straight up and down. This one, what you're trying to get is just a little overlap like that. If you have leaves, you can glue that down first, and then you can glue down this piece. And you'll want to just kind of lay it down before you add glue, and then look at where your pieces will need to be. Kind of like how I showed you how there. And I think I'll do it right like that. You'll want to slide some scratch cardstock back behind if you're doing this, so that glue behind your leaves does not close your pocket by getting through any die cuts, if you have die cuts, trims. And burnish that down. And now it's time to glue this. And I'll just add some glue here. I have a little Tim Holtz flower, and I'm going to glue that down right here. I added a couple more of those little flowers. This page is complete. This is a nice little side pocket for us. We'll flip it over. We're going to do score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle, one on either side, and go ahead and plant this in your book. Page 4 is complete. We are now on to page 5. We're on page 5. Let's go over some of these pre-cuts that we have. The first one was we cut a 4 3/4 by 5 inch. We called it an inside fold out. We laid this on our scoring board. We were 4 3/4 across, and we scored it at a 1/2 inch. And we labeled that inside FO. Next, we had a 5 1/8 by 6 inch, and we called this a left fold out. And it doesn't matter if your scoring board, like I said before, starts over here at the 1 or over here. You can always turn it around. So what we did was we laid this so we were 5 1/8 inch across. We scored at a 1/2 inch, and we scored at 5/8 inch. And that was our left FO. We next cut a 6 by 7 inch piece. We called it a right FO. We laid this on our scoring board, so we were 7 inches across. We scored this one at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. We cut a 3 3/4 by 6 3/4 inch piece. We called it right inside pocket. There was no scoring on this. And then we had a 4 7/8 by 5 inch, and we called it a top FO. We laid this on our scoring board, so we were 4 7/8 inch across. We scored at a 1/2 inch, and then we scored this one at 11/16. So if you need to use your ruler to make that mark and then score it. All right, let's get into our decorated paper for this page. And we will be looking for this piece, which is in your paper pack. On the back, it is the green. The first thing that we're going to do on this, and I can't tell what's upside down or what's what. I've got mine turned around, but I don't think it really matters. If you want to turn it around like this so your stripes are going up and down so that we can stay consistent, we can do that. Measure over 8 inches and cut. Now we're just going to turn it, look it like this, and measure over 6 inches and cut. Here are our 2 base decorative sheets. This one we're going to set aside for our page 6, so I'm going to move that out of the way, and we're going to work with this one. The first piece that you're going to want is the 4 3/4 by 5-inch piece, and we're going to fold on that score line. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to have the hinge off to the left side, and with the peak up, we're going to grab our 3/8 inch score tape. And we're just going to lay that score tape right on that little flap over there. I'm going to remove the score tape, and what we're going to do is fold it back behind so the sticky is back here. And we're going to lay this right up against the edge without going over, if you can. Try to center that top and bottom. And then we will burnish. Our next piece that we want is the left FO. This is the 5 1/8 by 6 inch. And we're going to fold on those score lines. What we'll do is we'll attach all our fold outs and then we'll get some paper. Okay, so our hinge is going to be off to the left. On the outside score line, pinch. And what we're going to do is slide it back behind, and we'll just get that straight with the top and bottom of our decorated paper. And then we're going to glue down this flap. Okay, and we still need to push back against that, and we will fill with our hands. The next one is our 6 by 7 right fold out, and we're just going to fold on those score lines. And our flap hinge is going to be off to the right, so on that outside score line, let's pinch on that. And we're just going to attach that and line that up with our paper. And we will pinch, hold, and tack this down. Okay, what I'd like you to do on this right fold out is mash it all the way down, kind of like when we attached it in this one. And we're going to keep those flat for right now. I think that'll be a lot easier getting the top fold out on. So here is our 4 7/8 by 5 inch, and we'll fold on those. And our flap is going to be at the top, so on that top score line we will pinch. We will bring it over the top of these and try to get that centered side to side as best you can. And I think that's a good spot right there for me. We'll flip it over and get our glue on there. Okay, let's open this up. And what we're going to do is start with this one, getting our paper. In your reserves, you will have this piece on the back. It looks like this. So what we're going to do is stick this on our paper cutter. And we are not going to get any of the black in our cut. We're just going to go straight on down each side. And then we're going to cut along the bottom, and then we will trim off this black piece. So we'll have this piece right there. And I'll show you mine. This is what we got out of that cut. What we're going to do is we're going to apply glue, and we're going to glue it down right on that inside fold out and leaving a black border around it. And then we'll burnish it down. I have mine down. Let's open it up and get our piece for this. In your reserves, you will have this long piece right here. We're already 4 inches. Measure over 4 7/8 inch and cut. This piece should fit right on the inside of that fold out, leaving you a black border and not getting in the crease. So we're just going to glue that right on down. Look in your reserves for a long, skinny piece. I found this one. And this is about 3/8 inch wide by about 6 inches long. All I'm going to do is lay this on this little piece right here. And I'm going to measure to fit, cut it, and glue it down. Just to cover up some of that black. Okay, we can close that. And we can start working on this left-hand fold out. In your paper pack, you will find this print on the back. It looks like this. Measure over 4 1/4 inches and cut. Once you've made that cut, measure over 5 7/8 inch and cut. Apply glue, and we're going to fit it right on the inside of that fold out, leaving us a black border all the way around, and we'll burnish that. Grab this back out of your reserves. We're going to measure over 5 7/8 inch and cut. We are 5 7/8 inch across. We're going to turn this, measure over 6 inches and cut. Now verify which way you should be going. There's only one way this is going to fit. So if you lay it down, you'll want a black border top and bottom, and you'll scoot it over and you'll have a black border here and some over here. So once you know which way it goes, we'll just transfer that right on over here. Let's grab our 1/4 inch score tape and we will lay it at the bottom. We're going to remove that score tape. And now we're going to grab our right inside fold out pocket. And this one has no scoring. I'm just going to give a little bend. Make sure that both sides have equal overhang, and I'll bring it all the way down to the bottom of my little piece here. I'll press in the center and smooth out. Then we'll just wrap these flaps around the back. Glue back here. Perfect. Now, if you would like to use a trim, like your trim die piece, you can. What I am going to do is something a little bit different. And what I did was I die cut the smallest one. Then what I did was I cut a strip, and it was 6-inch wide piece to fit side to side. And then you can see that I came in real thin on the sides, and I cut down real thin. What's going to happen is it's not going to go this way. It's going to lay over this way. So I'm going to stick that off to the side, and we'll lay our paper. In your reserves, you will find this print, this little scratch piece, I guess. Well, it's not too little. It's actually 4 inches by about 7 inches. So all we're going to do is measure to fit. We're going to bring this down over to the left, and I'm just going to leave just a little black outline there. And we will leave a little lip at the top, especially those of you that do not have any trim, so that you can have that as a little border. So then I'm just going to take my pencil, make a pencil mark here, and then I can shift it over now, making sure I'm lined up where I want to be with that lip, and then I can make a pencil mark right here. And that way I can cut, and I'll cut this way, then this way. My piece is ready to glue down. I'll apply glue, and I will get that right on there. And if you're die cutting, then this glues down right on top. We're ready to apply glue to this. Whoops. And glue that down, making sure that you have a little bit of a black border over here, top, bottom, and you'll have a little bit more black over here. In your reserves, let's pull out our little panel cut apart sheet. And the one that we're going to cut out is this one. And then what we're going to do is mount it to black cardstock. I have some scrap black cardstock. I've got this cut out. I'll apply glue, and I will glue this down, and then I'm going to cut out and around, leaving a black border. I have mine done. Let's grab this. This is going to be a little tuck area. I'm just going to flip it over this way. I'll bring some glue up and along the bottom, so the glue is under on this side, and I'll slightly place this at an angle without going over. So now you can still tuck things back behind. And I don't have anything, as you can see. Perfect. Okay, let's do this side first. We'll just fold that right in. Make sure that you push back against that other score line and you fill. It should be flat on the side, and it should match up top and bottom. In your reserves, you will find this large piece. It is about 7 3/4 inch wide by about 6 1/8 inch this way. We're going to measure to fit. So we're going to lay this down on this panel. We're going to leave a little bit of a black border, top and the sides. And of course we'll want the bottom, so we'll make a pencil mark there. Then we're going to shimmy this down, make sure that you still have the same border over here. Now we can see over here what we need. So we will cut down and across. Once you've got your piece, we'll apply glue and we'll glue that down, leaving our black border. I have mine down. We're going to need a couple magnets for this page. So what we're going to do is fold this in, and remember, fill on the side. Make sure that you are straight and it's lining up there. And where are my magnets? Here they are. I'll grab a plus and a minus here. Okay, so we're going to start with placing it up here, but it's going to have to be over a bit. So I'm just going to release this. And what you can do is, if you look here, you see where the line is, you can just kind of come over and down so that you know it's going to latch. And we'll grab the mate, place it on top. And this is where you want to make sure that you fold it on the other score line, and you can feel it's flat. Give that just a little bend, and you'll want to have this come down. And you can press without pulling, because you want it to be able to be pretty relaxed. Okay, let's find our paper for this. And in your reserves, you will find this print. This one is about 4 1/4 by about 6 1/8. So 4 1/4 wide is good. All we need to do is measure to fit and trim off a little on the bottom. So I'm going to leave a black border, and I'm going to try and keep that black border the same as what's on this page. So I will scoot that up. That looks good. And then over here. And now I'm going to trim. If you are die cutting, I am using the Frame a Card Leafy Borders, and it's this one here. And I'll apply glue. I'll glue that down, and then I will glue this right on over. In your reserves, you will find this piece. Oops, this flipped down on me. We're going to get our pieces for this. We are about 12 inches wide, and we are 8 inches long. Measure over 4 3/4 inch and cut. Now all we have to do is measure over 4 inches and cut that in half. On the inside, I'm going to take this one which says happiness. I'm going to apply glue. That would look good too. So it's your choice. I'm going to use this so it's up. And I'm going to center it in there, making sure I'm not on that score line, and I'll burnish that down. Then what I'm going to do is take this one, apply glue, and center that in there, and glue it down. If you would like your trim border, get it on there first. We're going to do some layering. It's something fun right here. If you are using the same die with the half circle, die cut out a piece like this. Okay. If you have your template, you can use this. We will be cutting it down a little bit, but just take your circle, use this, and cut it out onto black cardstock. So first off, I would like to say that if you are hand cutting yours, yours is going to be slightly bigger than ours, and that's okay. It's still all going to work out really well. Next, let's get some decorated paper. Let's grab this back out of our reserves. We were just cutting on it. We are now about 7 1/4, and I think we're still at 8 going this way. Turn this over to where the writing is like this. Measure over 3 inches and cut. Let's start off with those using the template. You're going to take your template again. You already have your black. And you will bring it down, but this time when you're measuring up, bring it down about, I would say, 1/16 of an inch under. And then draw and cut that out. And what you'll do is when you draw that, you'll be cutting out on the inside of your pencil mark. Those of you that have the window and all that good stuff, you're just going to lay this down. You'll find your windows, and you will die cut this. Die cutters, what you'll want to do is take your piece and you will glue that down, and you can bring it down to where it gives you a little bit of black border up and around on that. We're not done. Those of you that have your piece, you can just glue it right on down. And we'll get this on there. We're going to trim this now. What you're going to want to do is you will place this down at the bottom of your decorative paper, and you'll notice that you'll have overhang. Those of you that have this, you'll have quite a bit. So we'll just try to get that as even as possible on each side. If you'd like to use your ruler, you can do that. There we go. And right where the end of your cardstock is, your flap, not your paper, not your decorative paper, but that, you're just going to make a line. Just kind of use your pencil really light, and you'll do it over here. So here and here, and then you can also line that up on your paper cutter. But we're going to trim. Now that you have that, what we're creating is a little decorative pocket, and we will get some glue down there. And for me, I think I want to leave the sides open on this, so this will kind of be, oop, I got mine on wrong, didn't I? I think that's from us pushing it down. Okay, so I put glue along the bottom there. I'm going to line it up with my sides, and I'll burnish that really good. Wonder where my tool went. Oh, it's right in front of my face. Oh gosh, and I put way too much glue there, but that's okay. Just clean it up. We're going to get out our sticker sheets. Now the first thing I want you to do is pull up one side here. What you're going to do is measure 5 inches there. And if it will allow you, you can put a little pencil mark. So I found mine. I'm going to try to be as straight as I can here. Whoops, got some cardstock back there. I am going to dab a little glue to the back of mine. And we're going to place this right along the bottom there. This is coming together nicely. Alright, next on this same sheet you will find the birds. And we will lay that down. I need to wash my hands. And next what we're going to do is cut out and around, leaving just a little bit of black. Alright, so I have mine done, not the best, but you're not going to be able to notice by the time I'm done. What I'm going to do is bring mine down, and I'm going to glue it down to my piece right here. And I'm going to get this as straight as I can and centered. And what we're going to do is only add glue to this part, and that way you have a little tag tuck there. So I'm just going to kind of look to see what I need to do. Put some glue right there, and I'll wipe up anything that should be wiped up. So that's a little, bring that up just a little bit and turn it. So that's what we have. If you have any leaves, what we're going to do is add some glue to this. And I'll wipe off. I'm just going to pull that up and tuck this back behind. And I'll clean up any glue. And where it's gluing to is the back of this, so that you can still get stuff underneath. And I think I might glue to the side of my piece there a little bit of a Tim Holtz flower. And I have to be careful with this so that it doesn't glue my thing down, but right on the side there. And if you don't have the leaves, you'll do it right on the side of this if you want it there. So let's take a look at our page. And also, here's something in our reserves. And I'm just going to cut this out for right now. You'll see it. You'll notice it. It's this on the back. It has this in the front. Let's just try out our little thing. That looks good, and so does that. All right, I'll put this back in my reserves in case I need that strip. Let's open this up. That looks good. That looks good. I think that all looks good. We might come back and revisit to place some more stuff, but this page is complete. Let's place our score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle, and let's go with this one, 2 on either side, and place that in your book. Page 6, this is real simple. We have a 4" by 6". We called it a folder. We placed this down 6 inches across and scored at 3. Let's grab our base sheet, and what we'll do is we will fold on that. Now I'm going to place it so that my writing is on the back, but our opening is going to be right here, and then this is going to be like that. But first things first, in your reserves you will find this, and you will see this piece. So what I'd like you to do is place this on your paper cutter, and you will cut to divide. Notice how much of this you still have, this trim on top of the white. Just try to do the same thing when you're cutting down here, and I'll show you mine. So here is mine. This is real easy. This piece is going to just glue right on down to the bottom here. And we're going to glue the whole thing down. Now when you place this, it's going to be short from the sides, and we're just going to make sure that it is even side to side with the red paper sticking out as best we can. That's about even, I'd say. Even enough. And we're just going to place that. So what I want you to do is grab this piece out of your reserves. It's your cut aparts. Cut out and around this one. And then what you will do is cut out and around these two. Okay, so with the opening over here, we'll apply glue to this, and we will glue that down, leaving a black border. We'll start there. Open that up, and we will grab a couple magnets. And I just had mine in my hand. There we go. I got a couple sticking together here. Now I just need, here, and we'll place these. So I'm going to come in about 1 inch from the side or so. One there. Place that down, and then I'm just going to bring that over the top, and then carefully try to take these apart. Okay, these two, all I'm going to do is apply glue to this side, and then I'm going to glue it down. If you'd like to keep one up, that would actually look really nice there. I have mine down. Next we're going to create, this is going to hang off the page slightly, 1/4 inch maximum. And we're going to set that at an angle so you can still get photographs back behind. So I'm just going to come up maybe halfway and go around the bottom. Do it at an angle. And then I'm going to open this up so I can burnish that down and clean up any glue on the outside. And I look pretty good there. I'm going to be using some leaves here, and I'm going to actually apply it to this side. And I'll wipe up what I don't use. But I'm going to pull this back and slide it So they are tucking out. Just like that. This page is complete. Flip it over, score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle and one on either side, and let's plant this in our book. I have both page 5 and 6 in my book. We are now on to page 7.